Okay, what's up, man?
I'm fine, Ozone. Good to see you.
Thanks. Same here. So, one of the things that I keep thinking about of late is the whole, concept of, people keep saying that the advertising industry, especially the creative side, is a bit difficult to penetrate, especially young stars, wanting to come into the industry. What do you really think is responsible for that?
I think what's responsible for that is lack of information or lack of correct information. When, like they say, information is power. So
Yeah.
what you know wouldn't scare you. So and is the reason why for us as an industry, we need to continue to put the information out there to make it easier for those who are interested in coming into the space to find it and to use it in a way that is beneficial to them, which is one of the things, okay, yes, I would probably commend institutions like yours that, okay, make it easy for people to find necessary information. And then come into the industry.
Yeah, because I keep thinking way back then when we used to jump from one agency to the other. You find out that some of the guys out there who are not in the industry admiring what we do, but then how do they enter?
Yeah.
Becomes a
Very
problem.
correct.
Yeah, which is really changing now with a whole lot of. In fact, the way I even look at it is not just the schools. People could actually go learn on the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, pick up some of these the tutorials and stuff, and probably catch up with one or two interviews.
Very correct. Very
Yeah,
correct.
and for me, I think it's the same thing you said. It's all about information.
Sure.
When they know how to, they will be able to, come in. And I think for the whole industry as a whole, the game is really changing because you see that a lot of people are thinking of how to even go into some other industry, and some other people are thinking of coming into. So it's really about getting more information on any area you want to get into. Yeah. So that's it for me. Do you think talent is actually enough?
No, talent is never enough. And I'll give a very classic example with football. The battle of Messi versus Ronaldo any day, right? So on one side, some people have argued, okay, yeah, one of them is actually talented, the other person is hardworking, and it has shown that, okay, yes, even if you have the talent and you don't continue to improve on it, after a while, the guy who is not talented or who is not as talented, who is hardworking, will catch up and then, of course, probably beat you at your own game. So talent is never enough. For anybody who is looking forward to being successful in the industry, if you're talented, then you need to add to work hard. And if you're not, of course, if you work hard at it and you find yourself in the right circle, it's just a matter of time before you catch up with whoever is talented.
Exactly. And I'm also looking at beyond hard work, passion. Yeah.
Very correct.
Passion and interest, because I've also discovered in my 11 years of training and grooming people, the guys who are passionate will always outperform people who, in quotes, think they are talented. In fact, the ones who are talented or who think or has got the perception that they are talented, sometimes pride kicks in.
Okay.
And guess what? The guy with passion and, of course, going to put in a lot of work will always pass them by.
True. Yeah. So, I mean, since you've asked the question of, okay, is talent enough? For me, if you had to choose one between talent and hard work, what would you go for?
I think the two of them, they should come hand in hand, because if you are talented and you stop working hard, the guy who works harder will take it from you.
I'll take that to be a political answer. Choose one, hard work or talent. Which one would you choose?
I'll choose hard work.
I would choose.
Yes, because you see, talent is never enough. In fact, if you ask me, I don't even believe there's anything like talent. When I say people like, okay, how do you mean? It's simple. whatever thing you do over and over and over, after some time becomes part of you.
True.
And if you can do it and do it so well, people respect you. And the moment you start earning respect and recognition, you put in more work. Before you know it, people will say you're talented in this.
That's good.
Mm.
For someone like you that work with a lot of young chaps trying to get into the industry, what unique ways can one use to source these young talents? Like, okay, young upcoming talents that are interested in the industry. What ways do you think people who are hoping to work with them? How do they go about sourcing these
Come to
talents?
O2. I'm just kidding.
I'm sure we'll bill you for the ad, but okay, beyond that, what would
I'm
you
just
say?
joking.
Yeah.
I think in sourcing for talent, we have talent everywhere. You know, creativity is something that, for me, is in the air. It's just out there, and you can actually get to creative. I heard a story of a guy who works as a I think in a restaurant, yeah, as a waiter, and of course the creative director entered to eat, and he saw this guy jump into the window. A story, real life story. And he asked some other guys out, who is this guy? He said he's just resuming from work and he had to enter through the window. And he called the guy. It's like, you work here? He said, yes. So why the window? He said he doesn't like to enter through the door. He said, can I hire you? He said, what do you do? He said, I do advertising. He said, would you allow me to enter through the window? Well, I don't know how true it is, but they said they hired this guy and he is the most unconventional human being. So for me, it's just to look out for people who are what I call the enemies of the ordinary. You know, people who are uncomfortable with the status quo. There's this thing about them that they don't want to go the way every other person is going. And if you can spot that, trust me, there's something in them. And
Okay.
most importantly, it's not even being able to source them, it's also providing the right leadership. Because when they find themselves in the right environment, the best of them could actually come out.
Okay.
And so
I'm
that's
glad you mentioned leadership because I was going to ask, okay, so in grooming talent, what is the space of mentorship? How does mentorship come into grooming talent?
Yeah. Maybe because of the few experience I've garnered in helping these people. Rule number one: give them freedom. You know, I keep saying it. If when people are not having fun, they can't create fun stuff. Like Ogilvy said, when people are not having fun, they seldom produce good work. And you are as positive, you are as creative as the level of your positivity. So in mentoring talent, one of the things that leaders, especially in the creative sector, should learn to do is give them freedom, give them wings to fly, allow them to express themselves. It's like when you have them engaging in a brainstorm session, I always tell them no idea is bad. You know, bring out all the things you think you can, have in your head. In that way, they feel free. And when people are free, they are themselves. They're not trying to impress anybody.
That's
And that
true.
is the truth. Then the other part is character. Because talent without character is an accident waiting to happen. So you help them with keeping a cool-headed, lifestyle. Humility is very key. In this part of the world, people think that
Which is very rare among the creative guys.
exactly. Very heady. In fact, I always say the moment you create one good stuff and it's out there, nobody can talk to you again.
Interesting.
Pride sets in. So it's managing the talent side, which is giving them freedom to create, inspiring them, showing them creative stuff because it's more of like I say, it's garbage in, garbage out. What do you see determines what you produce.
Very true.
So the talent side, that's it. And for character, helping them with the right attitude.
No, okay. I was going to ask, what has it been like, the role of your school in creating this talent pipeline? So, you've been around for a while now. So, like, how many of your products have the industry benefited from? And what has the experience been like? Being like, the source from where yes, at least these talents go into the industry.
Yeah. For me, I think it's been an interesting journey because the industry in itself is beginning to what I say, dry up in the area of creativity.
Mm.
And why I use that word dry up is because um, we not being out there as a country, especially in the creative space, the cans of this world and stuff, is because I think we need more creative people.
Mm.
We need a lot of them, and what we're trying to do is to see that number one, they don't get too expensive because when you have shortage of anything, the price
Goes
shoots
high.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a lot of them. And it's really interesting and exciting that the industry is appreciating what we're doing
Mm.
too. And so with that, I think we want to do more.
Mm.
You know, we want to do more. We want to see that the industry does not lack in this,
Okay.
and that we make sure the supply and the demand, there's a
There's a
balance
balance.
in between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done. That's good.
And I know in the nearest future, we will all look back and smile to say, yeah, we helped, make it happen.
No, that's
And also another thing I'm also worried about is the sustainability, especially from the agency side. You run an agency.
yeah.
Now, when creative people, join you and retaining them, what do you think is the best way? Because I want to send them to you, and them coming to you and staying with you is also my concern.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, in what ways do you think it's best to
I think
keep
the way I like
retain
to
them?
the way I like to look at this is first of all, these people are human, and of course, every human has one or two things that drive them. Creative
Okay.
people, especially, they
Mm,
have their own specific things that drive them.
yeah.
In the
Mm,
little time I've tried to work with people and say manage people, what I try to do is three things come to mind.
mhm.
The first one is fun, like you mentioned,
That's
give
right.
them the freedom.
Mhm.
The second one is fame. The last one is fund, which I also call money. So those three things, if you give any creative person those three things, most likely
Mm.
they will stay longer. Make them
Fame,
have fun.
fun.
Make them do projects that will probably make them famous,
Okay.
and then of course they are being paid for the service or
Wow. So triple F.
yeah.
Wow.
So, but you rarely find instances or agencies where you have all the three. So, what I should tell people is if you can get two out of three, then you're fine.
Mm.
Bringing it back to Nigeria, especially, one of them is now critical, which is the fund, the money, and
Yeah.
why? Because you only have a clear head to do cool stuff when you know you have less things to worry about.
Mm.
No bill is running after you, and also the
Yeah.
money has to be there. And of course, after that, then if you can make them have fun, if you can also make them do works that are famous. So, like in my own
Mm.
agency, what I try to tell people is there's nothing stopping you from being the next best thing in the advertising world. It's in your
Mm.
hand. And
Mm.
while you're doing that work, make sure you have fun. So, a lot of projects that we've done, the hit project from clients or the one we've done in house, we make sure we have fun on it. And even if at the end of the day you probably don't have money to pay those people, because they had fun on it, because they felt good with themselves, and
Mm.
it spurred them to do more. And
Wow.
it's just a matter of time before the money start coming in. So
Hmm.
those are the things.
Hmm. Man, you just reminded me of something. You said something that I think I wasn't conscious of,
Mhm.
but we've been applying it.
Mm.
Fun
Yeah.
and fame.
Yeah.
The fun and the fame. I remembered of when we won lorries for the
Mhm.
first time.
Yeah.
Do you know it was actually these two things? You know, Somehow I kept on trying to let them see you could actually become very famous,
Yeah.
go global. Your name is announced on the lorry stage.
Mm-hmm.
I started painting these pictures to them. And guess what? These guys, they went
You
all
put
the
in the
way
work. Yeah.
out.
That's it.
And the next, they won.
Mm-hmm.
One of them won, I think, won bronze. Yeah, a Facebook challenge
Mm-hmm.
for Red Cross. Um, I think Give a Soap campaign.
Yeah.
And for me, I think that's what we need to keep bringing to their face, because the truth about it is it's all yours. It's not. In fact, they are not doing it for the company. They are not doing it for their let me say the group head in the agency
Mhm.
or the direct line head.
Yeah,
They are doing it for
for
one
themselves.
person, and that is themselves.
Very correct, very correct. Every
Themselves.
person that I've come across, I usually tell them, you need to just put yourself together in a way that the next person you're talking to values you, and
Mm,
that's very important.
mm,
We spoke about the attitude of the creative people some while back. So,
yeah.
to you, how important is patience, especially for someone who is just coming into this space?
Whoa.
I have my own view, but I would like to hear what you think regarding that.
In fact, I think for me, patience. Okay, let me even tell you what I tell my students. Hmm? Art direction taught me patience.
Mm,
In fact, because I started as an art director, yeah, and I found out that if you do not have that cool inside of you, you won't be patient enough to create and wow people with your craft
mm,
because it takes a lot of patience.
true.
So, moving it to the general, life in general, I think patience is a virtue that every creative person must have.
I agree completely.
You don't have it, you do what I call beautiful nonsense. And you
Mm.
would think that you are just
You
so right.
arrive. Hmm.
But trust me, everyone is laughing at you except you.
That's true. That's true. I mean, it's something I also try to, pass across to every young person I find out there. Like, okay, as much as we want to, have one beautiful job title
Mm,
in front of your name, you need to put in the work. It's
mm,
like someone who works in a coal mine. At some point, you go down under to look for the rubble,
that's
and
it.
then your creative director is the guy sorting out the rubble to get the stone that becomes something
Yeah.
of value and all.
Mhm.
And the more you put in the work, the more patience you have. After a while, you are also able to identify the gold or the diamond. And yeah,
Mm.
that's
And it also comes through when you have them really thinking in terms of how solid do I want my work to come out,
very true.
you know. And the more you rush it, the more people will rush to look at it
Mm,
because they won't even spend time.
very true.
But when you spend time on that work, people will spend time to look at it.
True.
And another angle I even want to look at it from is also the jumping around thing.
Mm.
you know, maybe I'm not the best guy to talk about it
Mm.
because I jumped around a little bit, but I tell you, in all those jumping around, I found out that I gained more experience and character built when I stayed longer in a
In the
place.
place, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, the jumping around depends on a lot of factors. Of course,
Yeah.
I would always encourage, okay, yes, you stay in a place where you are allowed to flourish,
Hmm.
and you stay in a place where you work with someone who believes in you and who encourages you to be a better version of yourself,
That's right.
right? But what I've also discovered is, okay, the industry, I mean, I think is much better now.
Mm.
And as at the time, a lot of people were jumping around. It's just because, okay, you have very few hands that are really
Mm.
good at what they do.
Mm.
So every agency wants to have that guy in their team.
Yeah.
The more talent we have in the industry
Hmm.
who can do those things we're looking for, then the less the chance of, okay, someone having to hop around,
That's it.
and what that also does for the industry is it gives some level of stability
Hmm.
for the agency and even for the clients, because I mean, if you keep changing the team that is working on a particular brand every
Mm.
day, that in
Mm.
itself affects the quality of work that you
We
put out there.
produce.
So for you, what do you think is the future of talent nurturing schools? So, I mean, we have a couple of schools around your school. There's also Orange Academy and a
Mm.
couple of others. So, what do you think is the future of these schools? Would
Okay.
it continue to be a place where, oh, I have to come in maybe weekends, or it's something I can even sit at home and then
Yeah.
learn
In
how to?
fact, the way I imagine the future, people talk about e-learning,
Hmm.
and me, I'm even seeing it in some bigger perspective. You see, with the AI, virtual reality, to be honest with you, we should be able to have not looking at your lecturer on the screen teaching you, but you could actually feel your lecturer, you could actually shake his hands. So you can actually be in the class, virtual class, and everybody's seeing everyone. You move around, you shake hands, you say hi, you talk to. So exactly what you have in a class, not just on the screen. So you put on your VR and you are in class.
No,
And for me, that's what it should
very
be.
true.
Yes, the comfort.
I think the more people are able to experience these things, the better they are at, of course, putting out ideas that will go ahead to change the world. I can only imagine that, okay, the better the quality of the talent we have in the industry, the better the industry
Yeah.
in itself. And
Yeah.
we need talent to continue to sustain what we have now. We need talent to continue to imagine a very bright future for the industry.
That's it. And talking about talent, one of the things that we've been able to do over time is to get people to understand that anything is possible. That's first, and push them to put in the work. I remember of a young man that we trained. Of course, he was on scholarship, and this guy was a security personnel with
Wow.
Halogen and
Wow.
Insight Communications.
Interesting.
Now, this guy is a talented artist,
Wow.
but he's standing there opening gates for people. So he's like a square peg in a round hole. And someone, brought him to O2, and we offered him a scholarship. And on graduation, Insight Communications employed him as an art director. In fact, we did a video, we call it From the Gate to the Mark System. And he resumed. Now, each day he comes to work, his colleagues at the gate opens gate for him.
Interesting.
And today he is a senior art director with Extreme Ideas. And
Wow.
he's just doing what he is designed to do. And for me, that is what this whole thing is all about. How can we use knowledge sharing and empower people to become who they are designed to be and stretch a hand of opportunity to every willing heart.
Great.
That is what is driving what Odu Academy is doing. Forgive me, I'm now hyping.
Don't worry, I'm sure they'll send you the bill after. It's good, and I must commend you and every other person out there who at least is helping to groom the talents the industry needs to continue to survive. Well done. It's been nice talking to you, and I hope someday the talents that you're nurturing, we'll look back and say a big thank you to you and to every other person.
Thank you. And from my own side, I must also appreciate entrepreneurs like you, because if there is supply and there's no demand, we'll be in trouble.
That's
So thank you for also deciding to set up something, and we will continue to supply. And in that, the ecosystem, the creative industry, the advertising industry will keep moving forward.
Yeah, that's good. So you run an academy. What are the unique ways of sourcing talent? What are the ways that, I need people to work in an agency. What are the ways I can go about that?
One of the other ways that I know, we've even tried that when I was with TBWM. As at that time, I have not started running Future Academy. We put out an ad and asked people to come for a test. Now, when they put out this ad, trust me, they got over, I think it's up to 100, thereabout. And the selection process was rigorous. But what interested me, or what excited me so much about that, was the fact that when they got in, they thought they were going to get a job straight up. No. You know what they did? They put them in what they call the TBWA kindergarten. Now, that kindergarten is more like a place for the agency to check out their level of creativity, because one thing is to interview a person, another thing is for the person to really deliver on what you interviewed on.
That's true, and I've seen that a lot. Of course, people come with portfolios, fantastic
portfolios, you and everything, and when they come in, you're seeing something else.
Okay.
So with that, within the space of 3 months, we know who TBW was going to.
Yeah, but that's, I'm imagining that if I have to camp people for 3 months, that's some extra expense for me, don't you?
No, really. They were also helping, in the business. It's not just that they were.
So it's more like a probation
thing. Yes.
For me, one of the things I've always thought of, and I think I've tried it, is sometimes I just go online and I just keep scrolling through different platforms. Not even CVs, different platforms, because you go on Instagram and you see people throw out videos that could actually pass off as a TV commercial, right?
True.
Do you think that's the right approach? Is there anything wrong with me just going through and seeing, this dude, for him to come up with this line, he could actually as well be an art director or something? Is there anything wrong with that?
That is true. You know why I was just saying these things is, I know of an art director that he kept on posting random work on social media, on his page. Kept on posting and posting. And one of the agencies that absorbed him, I won't mention the name, the HR told me that the reason why they had to choose the guy over the competition. Now, I recommended someone, and they picked this guy. And I like to know, so I could actually take that as a feedback and probably see if there's something we didn't do well. And the guy said, simple. This guy, I went to his page, and I saw loads and loads of work. Self-taught. And that's why.
For me, there is a lot of opportunity in that space, because these days, those of us within the industry with the label of art director or copywriter, some of the things other people who don't even have those names throw out there as skits and the rest in itself could actually pass off as what we're being. So if that is a channel for us to get in more talent, then I think that's
the digital age is really helping so much.
So what would you say? I mean, could you share some of your school success stories in the past years?
There's a lot. There's a lot. In fact, one of the ones that really hit me most, a lady, she joined, and of course, what we usually do is we ask them to give us a detail of their objective for coming to the academy, like what do you want to achieve.
Okay.
You know what this lady said? She said, I want to unseat my boss.
Wow.
For the very first time, I felt like a babalawo. I'm like, you want me to help you unseat your boss? But guess what? Information causes transformation.
That's true.
It's power. So I'm like, it's possible, actually. And I will help you. And guess what? On graduation, because she came in for strategy, and she's in customer service, wants to unseat the marketing manager.
Wow.
The marketing manager. But guess what happened? On graduation, I instructed her that her project work is to create a market penetration strategy that will eat into competition by 15%.
Wow.
And present it to the MD of the company, because it's an IT firm. And this lady did this document based on the training she got. And of course, presented it. And they invited her to present to the board.
Wow.
Can I make you laugh? 3 months after,
she
fired her
boss. Okay, I hope
they
the boss
gave her a brand new car.
I hope the boss is back at your school to come.
Well, if he should come, I'll give him more treat to or sit. So those are the things that gives us the cool to keep moving. Last year we won lorries.
Wow.
Yeah. Last 2 years, of course, we got nominated. I think there are 7 finalists. Some of our work for the very first time in the history of advertising in Nigeria is cool in Nigeria. In fact, we were the first school or the only school to win lorries outside of schools in South Africa, in the whole of Middle East and Africa. Like, it's only schools from South Africa and us and the whole of Middle East and Africa. And of course, when people say advertising is difficult to enter for me, I had to let them see why. And guess what? I know it like I know my name that advertising is not a rocket science.
Mm.
Just that if you're not in it, you feel it
It's a
is
rocket
something
science.
that, yes.
But
What's your perception for that?
I think, of course, some of the industry people also made it look that way.
Mm,
There used to be a time when, okay, yes, you work in advertising, it's like, okay, your ticket to bullying people, so to say, right?
yeah.
So you walk into an agency and you are like super scared to probably take the wrong step or something. I know. But I think that's changing now. And I'm glad that it's changing because, okay, you discover that, okay, because you're on the inside doesn't necessarily mean you have all the powers to do and undo as far as creativity is concerned.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people need to understand that, okay, if you have what it takes to help a brand solve a problem, then
Yeah.
you're a creative person, and okay,
Person.
people pay for that. So I mean, I take myself for example. I always say, okay, yes, I was never an industry person.
Mm,
I mean, at the start of my career, I was just a designer and all.
mm,
I've had opportunity of okay freelancing in agencies, but I never worked directly in any. And I could also say, okay, I face some of these things that they ask you, okay, so what have you done before? I've not done anything. I'm just new. Give me a chance because I feel I can't do this. But
mm,
okay, you've not given me the opportunity. You're asking what I've done in the past.
mm.
How do I mean, get the opportunity or the experience you're asking for? And what I did was okay, somewhat worked from the outside to okay validate my own conviction about myself. Like okay,
Mm,
yes, these are the things that are very very possible, regardless of me working in one advertising agency or the other.
mm,
And it's good to see okay that transition now. I think it's getting better. It could be better. That
mm.
okay, yes, you don't have to have worked in one big agency before you're
Yeah.
given the opportunity
So,
to work. So for anybody out there
mm,
listening, I mean, if you feel okay, yes, you have what it takes. If you're still a bit confused as to how to go about it, go
mm.
into any of these academies
That's
and
it.
then
That's
get
it.
some tutelage. And I think
That's it.
yeah,
And even beyond the getting the training,
mhm.
Ross, can I be honest with you? Do you know that advertising is the only profession that has got every other profession in it?
True. Because I mean, for
Because you have to be everybody to
yeah.
create for everybody.
Hmm.
And that tells me why, if you check in the industry, most admin didn't study advertising in
Advertising.
school. Most of us are engineering, architecture. I've a lot of lawyers.
Mm.
They're everywhere. You ask an average creative guy, he studied biochemistry, he studied one language arts, one, you
Yeah,
know,
but I guess that also brings up another case of APCON certification and all, don't you think? Because I mean, of course,
yeah,
I understand why
mm,
it's there for regulation of the
yeah,
industry, and
yeah.
also it also means okay, you come from different background, but then
Mhm.
there's something that okay brings us
A body
together.
that brings us together
Okay.
to really put control
Yeah.
to the entire thing. So I think it's an industry that has got the flexibility
Mm.
in fact, the most flexible industry that accepts everyone,
Mm.
that you can come in and you are accepted.
All right.
And that's it for me.